Thank you, and thank you, Senator Duckworth. I think the distinguished ranking member has a follow-up question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lohmeier, earlier this year, it came to my attention that current serving military personnel have been receiving emails threatening them with being fired for supporting the current DoD policies. One email that was sent to a military officer with the subject line, "Clean House," states, quote, "With the incoming administration looking to remove disloyal, corrupt, traitorous liberal officers such as yourself, we will certainly be putting your name in onto the list of those personnel to be removed. We know you support the woke DEI policies and will ensure you never again influence anyone in the future. You and the redacted spouse's name will be lucky if you're able to correct your military retirement," end of quote. Mr. Lohmeier, if you became aware of someone sending threatening emails to currently serving officers, what would you do in your capacity?
Well, Senator, I think the way in which leaders go about communicating with their troops matters a great deal. Having been in command, there's no way to retain the respect of your troops if you don't communicate respectfully to men and women of every background. I don't particularly appreciate the tone in which that email was written. I don't know who wrote it. I'm not familiar with the background of that email. But I will say once again that I share this committee's commitment to an apolitical military. I don't believe witch hunts are healthy in the military. I think that unity is our strength. I believe that when we start to go down the path of discussing partisan politics and ideology, it divides men and women. That's why the American people tend to be so divided. They have a full range of expression of these ideas. Our uniform wearers, to Senator Duckworth's point, ought to be focused on their mission and not being caught up in this kind of rhetoric. But if these kinds of things came to my attention, then of course they deserve attention. And every man and woman in uniform deserves to be treated with respect.
Do you believe it would be disqualifying for someone on active service in the military as an officer, listed, or civilian if they sent such an email?
Notionally, I think the context always matters, Senator, and I've expressed that I don't necessarily, I wouldn't write an email with that tone personally. I'll speak for myself. What's qualifying and disqualifying at a very high level is whether or not people are acting ethically and legally, upholding their oath to defend and support the Constitution and following the lawful orders of those that have been appointed over them to lead them. And that's what every enlisted and officer troop across every branch of the military is taught to believe in. It's that, hey, whatever baggage I bring to my service in uniform politically, ideologically, I leave that at the doorstep. I get the same ugly haircut as those next to me. I wear the same uniform, bleed the same color, focus on the same mission, and we care about readiness and lethality.
Well, I too believe that context is important. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the context, particularly your comments since you left the service, they created an impression of someone committed to, frankly, reprisal, revenge, weeding out from the service those people who do not ascribe to your thoughts. You've said it in so many words in your X filings and in your book. And I find it very difficult that suddenly you will have this transition, this enlightenment that will disabuse you of all those notions and make you someone who you claim today is apolitical, not concerned about the extracurricular activities of people in terms of their political positions, et cetera. That's totally inconsistent with what you've done over the last 4 years. And I think you've made that evident today.
Senator, am I allowed to respond?
Of course. That's the system here.
I'll say briefly that I really do believe, one, I believe that everyone who's been in this hearing understands that I'm authentic and try and be true in what I say. Second, I'll believe that every man and woman that's ever worked with me would be glad to welcome me back into public service.
Does that include the people that you've by name threatened to?
I've not by name threatened anybody, Senator.
Well, you certainly indicated your displeasure with lots of people by name.
Well, I'm displeased with the cowardly behavior of many people, but I've never threatened anybody. I think that we have many great men and women in uniform, high and low, who all have the right to try their best to serve this country faithfully, and I don't necessarily agree with all the decisions they make, but I'm not a vindictive person. I love all people, and I think that men and women in uniform will be very grateful to see me come back into service if I'm confirmed.
Well, thank you for your testimony, gentlemen. Mr. Oberbaum, I will have questions for Mr. Oberbaum and Mr. Zinnerman. Thank you very much, sir.